some of it probably goes to being an adopted kid, and some of that goes to growing up in the hood, and some of that is just the people that you're around and their own perspective. And I got into the habit of never using what others do as a measure of my success. Look, I have friends that had some cool cars. I have friends that had good clothes. And to this day, if you met anybody that I know that had a cool car, they'll say, "Hey, Sabado asked the same question. Can you give me a ride in your car?" I didn't say because I was driving a beat up Honda and you were driving a BMW that I wasn't successful. I just wasn't doing what you were doing. And if I wanted to do that, then it was a goal for me to do that. But I never got into the habit of measuring my success based on other people's accomplishments or what other people did. And I look at the world for what it is, not for what I want it to be. And that really built a strong sense of accountability. And I hold myself to a higher standard than just about anybody else I know. In fact, sometimes when I have challenges socially and I get aggravated, and I know we all get aggravated. So if you don't get aggravated, tell me in the comments that you don't get aggravated. But we all get aggravated. But it's because I hold myself to such a high standard. Because I had so many people telling me what I couldn't do, I held myself to such a high standard that other people, they just don't hold themselves to that standard. They don't have that kind of accountability. But part of that high level of accountability is looking at the world for what it is as opposed to what you want it to be. And sometimes the problem was me. Sometimes it was my own mindset. Sometimes it was the way that I was moving that was disrupting a situation. And I could try to deflect that and make it everybody else's problem. But at the end of the day, I got to live with myself. And if I know that's a problem, then I got to do something about it. I mean, it's just the way that it goes. And I got into the habit really early of not asking for permission from others to pursue my dreams. I'll tell you a funny story. So I think I've mentioned I'm in this Master Gardener program, and I'm working on creating an outreach program or project to get out and teach gardening to disenfranchised communities, because the reality is most of the folks in that program want to go to the rich white areas because they got a nice garden and it's safe and it's comfortable, but they don't want to go to the place that they hear about on the news. I mean, I just call it what it is. And I know they're going to say, "Oh, I'm not racist." Well, whatever. If you tell me in the comments that you're not racist, and that tells me that you're probably in question. So again, today's just the shirt names it all. Today, it is what it is. And so they don't want to go up there. The project coordinator told me in the orientation that people didn't want to go south of the river because those are the disenfranchised neighborhoods. Well, I started asking other people in the class that said they were interested. And what started to happen soon after that was the project started going down this path where it started to get really complicated. And it got complicated because everybody had these ideas that really took us off the path. And it reminded me of my days in human resources when somebody didn't want to do something. When people didn't want to do something, most people don't have the courage to just say, "No, I don't want to do it." So what they do is they convolute it with a lot of bureaucracy. I call it bullshit, but a lot of bureaucracy in order not to do it. So then it gets so complicated that people forget about it and it never happens. And I realized at that moment that my dream of trying to uplift a community and uplift the world by providing an opportunity for people in the community to do something that maybe they want to do, didn't feel like they had the opportunity to do, that was something that people want to attach themselves to it, but they don't necessarily want to do the work. And so I changed around how I was going after it, and I'm going after it. And I have meetings set up for next week where we're going to talk about some things with some executive directors and get the ball rolling.